All right, good morning. Welcome to our math series of stuff. Oh wow, that camera's like right close up now. I'm getting a little self-conscious. Now you guys can see that, sometimes I break out in pimples and things like that. Oh, now I'm nervous. Here they come. Anyhow, hopefully you have your textbook with you. We're looking at 3.5 in the grade 8 textbook. This is about dividing whole numbers and fractions. Now we have talked about dividing whole numbers and fractions, and you can get started. It's page 120. We have started about dividing fractions a little bit, and here's a quick precursor of it. Like, we would go like this. Let's say we had a half times a third. And divided by thirds. My bad. And what we learned previously was that when we're dividing, you need to flip and flip. So I'm going to flip a division. What's the opposite of division? What's a flip? Times. Got it. And what's the opposite of 1 over 3? 3 over 1. All right. So once we flip, then we just multiply, and we got 3 over 2. And there we have it.
Just like that?
Just like that. Now, I'm going to show you what this means. I have a half. And what this is saying, if I divide it into thirds, how many do I get? Well, let's take a look at thirds. How many thirds do I get in a half?
3.
1, 2, 3 in a whole. How many thirds fit in a half? Just
1.5.
1.5. Look at that. 3 over 2. 1.5.
Oh!
Yeah. Oh, I know. OMG. Oh! Now, what's weird about dividing fractions, and what really gets kids, I have part of a number divided by part of a number, and I get more? What? And that's the confusion point, is that kids go, how? Because usually when we have a number and we use dividing, it gets smaller, right? Like if I have 4 divided by 2 equals 2. But it would be really weird for 4 divided by 2 to be like 8 or 10 or something bigger. And so kids start to think, well, that can't be because it seems to be getting bigger. How can I have a small number, something that makes things smaller, with another small number, and have a bigger number? This is saying I'm cutting half into 1/3. How many thirds fit in a half? Yes, sir?
That same thing happens with decimals.
It does happen with decimals. And so what Finnegan there is referring to is that when I have a decimal divided by a decimal, you end up with a whole bunch, a big number. Like if I had 0.5 divided by 0.25, I would have 2 in a whole. I'll just pause our video quick. Welcome back. We just had a slight interruption. So what we've established when we have a fraction divided by a fraction, it's kind of a mix-up. It's hard to visualize. But today, we're actually going to start a little bit easier than this. We're going to go into dividing fractions, but with whole numbers. Now, just a reminder, you should have your textbook open, because I know this seems kind of far away in the video right now, and I'm probably way too big in the video, but you should be able to see this in your textbook. So let's look at a few quick examples. Example here, this is on page 130. This one uses a number line, and oh, I know you guys are all like, yay, number lines. How many of you guys like number lines?
Nope.
No? How many of you are like, no, that's like getting socks and underwear for Christmas? Yes,
I
exactly.
actually kind of need that.
Yeah.
Like, actually. I have some socks and underwear.
Wow, awesome.
I still got other things.
Did you get that, you too? These kids want socks and underwear. So
I don't want it, but
so
I need
if
it.
you're sitting with your kid helping them with math right now, they want socks and underwear for Christmas. Awesome. Okay. So this shows a number line, and this question being represented. Actually, you know what? This is a good time to pause. I'm going to pause. I'd like you to look here and see if you can. Oh, you can already see it, can't you? Wow, look at that. Okay, I got 6 divided by 1/3. Now we're going to take a look. If you see what they've done, we have 6 right here. And it's saying, if I cut 6 into thirds, how many do I get? Because remember, this dividing symbol, this means cut, right? Like cutting a cake. So I got 6 cakes and I'm cutting them into thirds. Or I got 6 pizzas and I'm cutting them into thirds because I want really big slices. Maybe I'm feeding like a football team or something. How many thirds am I getting out of 6 whole pizzas? So they start cutting them up. And so they go, well, I got 1, 2, 3 thirds in the first one. 1, 2, 3 thirds. 1, 2, 3 thirds. Now I'm at 3 pizzas, 9 thirds. 12 thirds. 15 thirds. How many thirds? 18. Okay, so let's check with what we know already. We know that we need to flip, right? How do I flip a 6? Do I need to flip the 6?
No.
No, I don't. Could I write this as a fraction though so that it's consistent?
0.
You're really close. I heard it's 1 over 6.
6 over 1.
6 over 1, exactly. Okay, so now I gotta flip. 6 over 1, flip this. How do I flip that? Times, how do I flip this? 3 over 1, thank you. 6 times 3 is 18 over 1. So 18 over 1, can I just write 18?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just write 18. So if I take 6 pizzas and I cut them into thirds, how many thirds do I get? I get 18. And what they just did, they just had their number line, and they had 6 here, and they cut it into thirds, and they said, how many thirds is it to get there? And the answer was 18. Yes?
Don't you just like make it easy and do 6 times 3? And you just get 18 and you don't have to do anything?
You could in this case,
Yeah.
but it won't quite work in all cases. You'll see. All right, let's scroll down. Here it ups the ante a bit, and it says 6 divided by 2 thirds. So once again, we're jumping in 2 thirds, 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 to see how many we get. And if we did that symbolically, and we'll come right back to what Mr. Finnegan there said, I got 6 divided into thirds was what we were doing before, but now we're saying dividing into 2 thirds. And so this is why just going 6 times 3 wouldn't work, because we'd have that 2 kind of messing stuff up. So I know I got to flip. So now I got 6 over 1, flip this, and I got 18 over 2. What's 18 over 2? 9, you got it. So how many 2 thirds? If I take 6 and cut it into 2 thirds, I get 9 2 thirds in that. So now you've got a number line. You've got your symbolic, but you know that we're going to ask you for more than just the number line and just the symbolic. Now here's some other examples where we are having number lines, but we're going to do the inverse. It says find 3/4 divided into 2. So I've got 3/4 divided into 2. Now, I'm going to draw you a picture that's like a number line, but a little different. Here I have half, and this is 3/4, right? You see my 3/4 line? Okay. Pardon me, I'm just going to run and get a different color. Now it says I'm dividing 3/4 into half. So this is 3/4 divided into 2, sorry. So if I have 3/4 and I cut it into 2 slices,
Correct.
So it's half of 3/4?
yeah, if I cut something in 2, I've got half of it.
Yeah, it says ones.
So it's like half of 3/4. Wait, hold on. Think about your multiplication of fractions. You said it's like half of 3/4? Do you mean this? It's like half of 3/4?
Yeah.
Well, look what we did. Flip.
I did that.
You did that. Self-clap. There you go. All right, 3 times 1, 4 times 2, Let's see. Let's see if that's right. It says 3/8.
0.375.
Well, if this was one whole, what are these four things?
25th.
Well, these are quarters.
Quarters, yes.
What's half of quarters?
You-
What are these now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are eighths. 1, 2, 3/8. Is 3/8 half of 3/4? Yes, it is. Now we've got a few different ways to look at it. Let's take another look at that right here. It shows our number line. It shows 3/4. Did just what we did. It said we're going to make it in 2 jumps. We're going to cut it in half. How much is each jump? It's 3/8. So the difference here, they did it like this: 0, 1. There's 3/4. They said if I split it into 2, how much is each half? Each of these jumps is 3/8. That's our answer.
Boom.
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 Alright. Now this is my favorite model right here. I like this model very, very much. I think this is the most obvious model. So we're going to take a look at it there, and then I'm going to redraw it, but in a different fashion. So this says I got 5 and I get divided into 3/5. Let's go back to the pizzas. I'm feeding a football team. And I notice every time I feed that darn football team, they each eat a little over half a pie. Like half of a pizza. It's a lot. I know.
I eat a full one.
You eat a full one? You know, I believe it. I've seen your lunches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sentence lost.
Hey, wait.
Oh,
I mean chungus.
Now, 5 divided by 3/5. This means if I cut 5, cut into 3/5. So look what this guy did. He drew a hole and he cut them into fifths, right? So he's counting how many 3/5 are in there. 1 3/5. 2 sets of 3/5.
I don't have that.
3 sets of 3/5. 4 sets of 3/5. 5 sets of 3/5. 6 sets of 3/5. 7 sets of 3/5. 8 sets of 3/5. There's a little bit left over. So what he's doing, let's draw it a little different. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 1 set of 3/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 2 set of 3/5. That's